Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys, as we discuss the importance and the tools for confrontation and accountability, not just holding others accountable, but also yourself accountable. So before we get started, we want to give a very special thank you and shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, Soft Socks, compression fitting toe sock for your feet, veteran owned, and also here in the USA. They are a toe sock, and we've worn them on a lot of our long runs and hardworking days, and we've enjoyed them. If you'd like to try a pair of Soft Socks for yourself, you can go over to the link tree in the description of this podcast and use discount code SUFFER10 to receive 10% off at checkout. We also have, supporting this channel, 55 Miles anti-chafing lubricant. They make everything from UV blocker, chapstick, blister blocker, anti-chafing cream, you name it, that goes on your skin, they probably have it. And we have really enjoyed it, loved it in these hot Florida training days that we've had recently to prevent chafing and prevent or alleviate some of the blister problems that we often have on the really long, hot, sweaty days. If you'd like to try some 55 Miles, it is also good for your skin. They don't have the organic symbol on it, but all the ingredients are things that we can say and read just fine without any help. So safe for your skin as well. If you'd like to try some, you can use discount code SUFFERUP. Link will be below the description of this podcast. And last but not least, we have Muckender's wipes. I actually have a box right here for you. Muckender's towels, they make a towelette, just like a baby wipe, essentially. They're much larger, that are safe for your skin, 100% plant-based. And they do a great job of getting rid of grease, grime, gunk, dirt, sand, dried on sunscreen, all that stuff off your skin so that you can continue your hard working day. If you would like to try Muckender's towels and keep them in your truck, highly, highly recommend it. So you can use discount code SUFFERUP to receive 20% off at checkout. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode, guys. We hope you enjoy this episode, Confrontation and Accountability.
Confrontation. That's not a fun word.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's easier to call out than it is to call people up, is kind of the thesis of today. So.
Yeah. Nobody really likes confrontation. I mean, there's some people that might.
Some people seek it.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like nobody likes it though. Even if you're seeking it,
yeah,
you're just doing it for a rise, but you know it's going to get your adrenaline pumping, and like you're going to be amped up, and that's why they're doing it. But it's not that you actually like the confrontation; they just like the way it makes them feel. So confrontation is one of those things that can often be dreaded. There's a lot of people that are non-confrontational and will like avoid it at all costs. There's not a particularly good or bad thing associated with that. It's just at some point confrontation needs to happen. So you're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. And what we're going to talk about today are some of our methods and reasoning behind confrontation in the first place. So first off, before you confront somebody, you gotta check your heart and figure out why you feel the need to confront them. Why do you want to confront somebody? Is it, what did they do wrong? Or why do I need to point out what they did wrong? Somebody may have done something wrong, but it may not affect you, the team, the mission, or anything at all other than them. And if that's the case, then, do you really need to bring it up and point them out and just blast them for no reason? Probably not.
Yeah.
That's like a selfish thing that you just want to show somebody that you're right. So what's your heart posture before you go into this? I would say, like, if it doesn't affect you, someone else, the team, the mission, etc., then there's probably no need in confronting someone about it. If you just want to tell somebody that you don't like the color of their shoes, that they're wrong because they chose blue shoes instead of green shoes, then you're probably just a jerk.
Yeah. Before you go into any sort of confrontational setting or session, if you will, you want to ask yourself, what's the point of this? And what are we trying to achieve with that confrontation? That's typically what I try to do. And also when you do the confrontation process, which we'll get into here in just a minute, what you want to create a space that, one, is it sounds soft, but emotionally safe. You want to create a space where it's like you're not coming at them personally, you're not casting blame, you're just bringing up something that's been noticed. And then when you're doing that, you're allowing the time and the space for it to happen. So if you ask yourself those questions and like, what am I getting from this? Well, I'm angry at him because he did this. Well, that's not a really that great of a reason. If you're just angry because of that, why are you angry? That goes into checking your heart. But if you're not gaining any sort of benefit from it, whether for the individual or for the team, like Ryan said, then you should probably do some self-reflection before you just go in guns blazing. And also your tone when you do the confrontation is also extremely important too. We don't want to come into a confrontational session, if you will, like super hot and heavy. Some of the most effective leaders that I've ever worked for were not the loud, boisterous ones. They were the ones that would come and talk to you like an individual, and they never really yelled at you. They might talk passionately, but they never yelled. They just would speak with truth. And these are the facts. This is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you don't like it.
The purpose behind them talking to you was different. And so our second point today is, first, check your heart. Second, call people up. Don't just call them out. Like I said, if you're just calling somebody out to say, hey, your shirt's untucked. Why do you look that way? You could do that in private and have a different means behind or reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And it'd be a lot more effective than calling somebody out in front of everyone and just making them look like a fool in front of everyone. Galatians 6:1 says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. So the Bible tells us to tell people gently. I mean, Jesus did this a number of times, and you see his examples where he condemns what people do, but he still restores them. He says, go away and sin no more. Like he's telling them, like, hey, you're sinning and what you're doing is wrong. Stop that, but go and sin no more. He's not beating them over the head with a stick and saying you shouldn't do that, or you should be punished for this. It's just he's just very gentle about how he says, you're doing something wrong, turn away from that and go do something good. And so that's the way that we should do it. We should be calling people up. Every time that you confront somebody, the motive behind it should be to pull them up. And whether that be like, hey, the team's depending on you, and I know that you're capable of more than this. So can you tuck in your shirt and look professional so that, we all don't get our butts chewed by somebody above us, or so that we look professional when we go and do the job. It's an accountability thing more than it is a I'm better than you, or I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And like when you think about any time, like with Galatians 6, when someone's caught in a sin, back to the original question, what are you or the other person trying to gain from that? You're holding them to a level of accountability.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey man, what's going on? You're now opening up the opportunity for you to be a mentor or a helper, to help them through whatever situation. You're not coming to them in a tone of like, you shouldn't be doing that. Here's the reason why, blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't have that tone, because, the old proverbial saying, like, if you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
That kind of holds true to this testament as well. You're going into that with an opportunity to help them grow. You're helping them through that process, whatever sin it is, because the Bible says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So just as quickly as they're messing up there, look at your life and look at all the areas that you're screwing up in. That should be enough to humble you as it is.
Yeah.
So
the best instructors or leaders, they aren't correcting people because they enjoy catching someone's mistakes. They're doing it because they want to build someone up, that they believe that person is capable of performing and being better than they are. So they're trying to build them up to be that person that can perform when it matters.
Yeah.
Like in the Navy, as a rescue swimmer, you have to confront people and tell them that they're doing a procedure wrong, but you're doing it from a place of care and like, number one, I don't want you to get hurt. number one, I don't want you to hurt somebody else in the water. So it has to be corrected.
Yeah.
But I'm not just doing it to bash you as an individual and say, you're stupid. You don't know your procedures. It's like, hey, you forgot a step, and that step's really important because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind with the heart posture as far as the idea is to call up, not call out.
Yeah. Very good. Accountability requires relationships. When you're going to confront somebody and there's an issue, there's something that they're doing or something that is not effective or part of the team mindset, what kind of relationship do you have with that person? Ask yourself, like, what kind of relationship do you have with that person before you go into it? If you don't have the best working relationship with that person, is it because you haven't confronted them about the issue and that's why you need to confront? Or is it better suited for somebody else to confront that person? Sometimes that is a question you need to ask yourself as well before you go into it.
Yeah.
If you truly think that the reason that you don't have a good working relationship with him is because of some issues that you need to bring up, which is, I would say, most of the time why confrontation happens. It's not necessarily for like, hey, you did this wrong, I'm just doing it just to point it out to you. It's more or less like, you did something that ultimately affects me, and so therefore I need to bring it up to you so that we can restore a good working relationship.
Yeah.
And you can apply this as well to marriage. If you're my wife, if there's something that she's done that I wish that she would have done, or whatever the situation is, that confrontation is out of love. And my relationship with my wife is great. So that confrontation is going to be out of love, but it's because I love her that I want to confront about this issue. It's done a loving way. And then it's reciprocated back of like, okay, thanks for saying that. I'm going to work on that area of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to like that passage in Galatians about doing it gently. And if you don't know somebody well enough, they don't know you. They don't know if you're being gentle or not and how you're communicating with them. You know, if you just met somebody, or if you're on a team even with somebody and you're just not that close with one person, or a couple people, like, and one of those people is the one that you have this confrontation with, or you saw an issue with, maybe it's best if it's not you that confronts them. Like, maybe there's a middleman, a mediator that you can go to and say, hey, I saw so and so doing this, or their gear was messed up like this. I'm not really that good of friends with them, and I don't want them to get mad at me or take it the wrong way. Would you address that, since you and him are real close? And that may be better. That may serve the team and the mission better. But that's like an ego issue for a lot of people, because it's like, oh, I saw the problem, I got to be the one to point it out.
Yeah.
But that's not always what's best. And so recognizing that, again, it's not about you. It's not about you trying to prove that you're right, somebody else is wrong. It's about the mission. It's about the team. It's about whatever it is that's bigger than you as an individual. And you got to find the best solution to that problem. And a relationship with the other person and the other party in the confrontation is extremely important on how they receive it.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have had plenty of, we'll call it confrontations or confrontational discussions, that if we didn't know each other and didn't know where we stood on things, like we didn't know the heart behind what we're saying, somebody could easily take something the wrong way. But I know that you care about me and this mission here at Suffer Up, and you know the same about me. And so it's easy to assume the best,
right,
when you have that relationship with somebody. But when you don't, man, it's really easy also to assume the worst and just take what somebody's saying negatively versus positively.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking a lot about being the confrontator, but
Yeah.
also I think that there's a whole nother aspect, we don't have to necessarily get into it today, about how to receive the confrontation.
That's true.
And what that looks like.
Touch
But
on that. What you got?
yeah, so a lot of times people, I would say majority, if what's the saying, 80% of 90% of the statistics are made up, but I would say a lot of statistics are made up, right? But so I'm going to make up my own here, but it appears as though people are often, there's more apt to confront than there is to receive criticism or ask for the critique or ask for the criticism. And so, if you're casting blame or something that somebody says or something that you notice about somebody, and you point it out to them or indirectly point it out to them through somebody else, and think about what you're accusing them of, and is your accusation because of something that you too need to also work on. And so, again, putting everything together here, look at the tone and look at the heart behind what they're trying to portray.
Yeah.
Are they trying to share something, an experience that they feel confident in or whatever? Or is it something that you are like, you receive it and you're like, wow, that really rubbed me the wrong way, the way that individual said that. So maybe that's something I need to work on. So, and that's okay. Like, that's healthy. If you hear something and it bothers you, look at your heart and think, okay, do I need to work in that area in my life? Because they said that really rubbed me the wrong way, before I start. Because a lot of times I think a defense mechanism is to just spew it back, just defend and like throw blame, cast blame. It's in our carnal nature to do that. And so,
when you've heard the saying that like there's a little bit of truth in every joke, or anytime somebody's joking with you and I'm just kidding, there's probably a little bit of truth to it. And it feels the same way when somebody confronts you with something that, like, it's easy for us to sit there and go, oh, maybe they're just having a bad day, or like they just didn't get enough sleep, so they're in a bad mood and they're taking it out on me. And then you're, like you just said, they're shifting that blame and saying, it's not me, it's them.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably a little bit of truth, even if you're right, even if they are having a terrible day, they didn't sleep well, and like they're just in a real pissy mood and they're coming at you hard. There's probably still a little bit of truth in whatever they're saying to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point to reflect and go, all right, maybe they were a little hot and heavy on that, but what part of that do I see as like actually being true?
Right.
And like, where can I actually improve?
Right.
Because they're probably not just pulling it out of thin air and making something up completely.
True. Yeah, and in the world of feelings and emotions and
oh goodness,
all of that, safe spaces everywhere, and we're oftentimes worried about hurting people's feelings. I think that, like, you should respect people's emotions to some degree. Like, don't be just belligerently disrespectful to people.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where the truth now is just so watered down and so just mediocre, if you will.
Yeah.
So when you do confront and you say things to people like, you come across this way, or you are this way, you're putting hard facts on somebody.
Yeah.
But when you do, you put the hard fact, that person, and from the receiver standpoint, should be like, okay, check, I got it. And then listen to what that other person has to say before you come back with a rebuttal. Most of the time when you go into these conversations, when you cast the blame or you cast whatever it is that's frustrating you, the immediate reaction of the recipient is just complete defense. Like, no. And you immediately want to defend yourself, because in your brain, everything that you hear and you say and do is what other people say. But there's this word called perception, and perception can go a lot of different ways. But feelings, if we would just get over feelings and just kind of like have less of them, still feel like emotion's good, but like have less feelings, like don't worry about getting your feelings hurt. Like, I've said this shit before, as soon as I quit caring so much about certain things, I became better at certain skills. Because when I care, I was constantly worried about what other people think. I was constantly worried about what this person's going to think if I do this. Well, when I kind of just quit caring, life got a whole lot easier. And that sounds like really negative to say, but there's a lot of weight to that, I think.
Well, that goes back to the relationship thing. Like, you care deeply about what those who have relationships with you have to say and the input that they have. But Joe Blow on the side of the street, I don't really care. If you think I'm ugly or you think I'm rude just because I didn't like come over and give you a hug or something, I mean, I don't care, man. That's not my prerogative. But if the people in my life that I already have relationships with, if they don't see these negative things, then, well, then it ain't true. And if they do see them and they're calling me out, then that's good. That's accountability.
Yeah.
I like what you said there about like just saying it how it is, calling it how it is, like tell the truth. And that brings up an important point that like the Bible talks a lot about God's grace. And a lot of people like to look at Jesus as this meek, I guess meek's just the right word, a meek man who's just full of grace and love and everything. And he was full of grace and love, but he's not meek and like weak by any means. He's fierce and direct also.
Yeah.
You can't have truth and grace independently and it be a good scenario. Truth without grace is you're wrong, you're messed up, go fix yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's just harsh. That's ruthless.
Yeah.
And grace without truth is it's fine, don't worry about it. And that's not helping anybody either. That's not calling anyone out and improving the team or the mission or the person. Biblical accountability requires both truth and grace. And we see a good example of that in a number of stories in the Bible, but like the one that I referred to earlier, where Jesus tells the woman, go and sin no more. I'll have to look into like how that one started in the beginning, but he's not being rude or hateful towards the woman. He's not condemning her right there on the spot. He's just saying like, stop what you're doing and go, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not she didn't get big feelings about it either. Like nowadays we, like you said, all the feelings and like people get big feelings and it's like, he said not to go do this anymore. Like, oh man, he said it out of love.
Yeah.
That's not good for you. Don't do that. Now go and don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But also full of grace.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most loving conversation you can have with someone is the conversation neither of you wants to have. Just really emphasizing the importance of, or not the importance, that's the wrong word, but sometimes these conversations they're difficult, they're uncomfortable. But I don't think that really any good thing or growth happens in comfort. I think most everything that causes growth at some point was uncomfortable, whether physically, mentally, or spiritually. So as long as the conversation is done out of love and you pray before you go into these types of conversations so that you don't regret the tone, or the Bible says that the tongue is sharper than any two-edged sword. So like your words, as soon as you speak them, like they're going to be there for the rest of eternity with that person. Well, I say eternity, when we die, we get a new brain and new body. But at the end of the day, you got to have love in your conversation. Otherwise you've just now stooped to a way lower level.
Yeah.
I have zero respect for people that come into a conversation hooting and hollering and screaming to try to prove their point. You've just completely discredited yourself to me. 100%. I'm sorry. Like, if you're yelling so that people can hear you across the room, do that. If you want to speak passionately, that's fine. But when you come in and cast blame and start just hooting and hollering and screaming at the individual and dropping 4-letter words, I don't have the patience for that.
Well, it's a emotional and spiritual immaturity that is on display there by them acting that way.
Yeah.
And another verse that I had earmarked for this message today was that Ephesians 4:15 says, instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of Christ, the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ.
Yeah.
So speaking in truth in love, speaking the truth in love, that's exactly what we're talking about. You're doing it full of grace, full of love, but you're speaking the truth, and that builds a certain maturity that you can't get another way.
Yeah.
Like you said, hooting and hollering, that's immature. That's not a productive way to act.
Yeah.
You're an unproductive member of society at that point.
Yes. Plus, you got to use a bunch of 4-letter words to prove a point. Maybe you should work on your vocabulary.
Yeah.
I mean,
go get learned up.
Yeah. Go study a dictionary for a little bit.
Oh, man.
But go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was just moving on to the next point that we had here. But Jesus was not conflict avoidance. So in John 8,
That's the stuff I was referring to.
His response to the woman caught in adultery holds grace to the woman at the well, truth together. He refuses condemnation while also calling her away from sin. The goal is neither humiliation nor pretending behavior doesn't matter. It's restoration and transformation. Again, emphasis on just like, hey, bringing the attention of the sin and doing it out of love. He wasn't trying to humiliate her or like protect her behavior, but he definitely called it out, but he did it in such a loving way that the restoration and transformation was able to take place.
Or,
oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
yeah, and you can study that in John 8 as well. And that's a great parable. Well, it's not a parable, it actually happened, but there's a great story about how Jesus dealt with confrontation and how he dealt with sin. And also to know, Jesus was a perfect man as the Son of God. He has every right to confront sin, but we too have been empowered by Christ to confront sin, but also with the slight filter caveat of just as much as that person is sinning or caught up in a sin, you too have your sins. So always approach those conversations with humility and grace.
Yeah. So in that passage of John 8, it's verses 1 through 11 are really what we're referring to. But Jesus asked this woman, he says, as at this, those who heard began to go away at the time. And this was after. So this woman who is an adulteress comes out in front of everybody, or the Pharisees call her out and say, she's done these bad things. And Jesus says, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. He's saying that, like, we're all guilty. We're all messed up, and we all deserve to be confronted about something. And so if we do that in a harsh manner, are we any better than her? I mean, somebody could come back just as harsh. She could actually say just as harsh things about us if she knew us as well, or knew our deepest, darkest secrets. And so we have to go at it with love and not condemn her.
Yeah.
That's the gist of that story there.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, so the everything that we talked about here fits really nice in this little framework that we've got. It is the heart framework. So HEART, heart.
Mm-hmm.
H is the heart. Why am I confronting this? Is it coming from my heart? What's happening inside me before I go into this confrontation? Is it out of pride and selfishness that I want to have this confrontation, or is there an issue that actually needs to be dealt with that is going to be beneficial to all parties?
Yeah. The next one would be E, the end goal. What do I generally want to be different after this conversation? Going back to the beginning opening statements of what is the objective with the confrontation?
Yeah. Why are we about to have this discussion? A is for ask. Don't just assume that you know everything. Start with the question of, help me understand what happened, or why is this going on? Why is this messed up?
Yeah.
Assume that there's information that you do not know and ask the questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Restore would be R. How can we correct the issue, repair what needs repairing, and then move forward? But then how do we move forward? At the end of that conversation, come up with some sort of action plan. That sounds really formal, but I mean, that's essentially what it is. Like, come up with an action plan of how you're going to move forward, whether that's restoring the relationship, how's the team going to move forward, and all of that. So restore would be R.
And last, the T in heart is for truth. Whatever you're going to say it with love and grace, but make it true. Don't water it down. Say what actually needs to be said. Do it with compassion, but have clarity in that. Compassion and clarity can coexist, and they need to in this instance.
Yes. So we hope that you guys kind of got a better idea of some tools and tactics with confrontation. And I was sitting here thinking about this more because, we came up with some like outlines as we did this episode, but, when you start talking about certain things, some things are revealed to you. But with confrontation, it's difficult for us, at least for me anyway, to sit here on a podcast and share lessons and things that we've learned, because the lessons that we've learned are probably because we're either currently struggling with them or just suck at them or sucked at them at some point. Pardon my French, but like it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we're not putting ourselves on a pedestal. We're not trying to make ourselves look better, or, that we're better than you and all this and that. That's not it at all. There's some confidence that's been built with some of the things that we talk about because we've either lived it or been through it, or struggled with it immensely. And quite honestly, being on a podcast is extremely difficult. At least I've found, because, a listener could be listening and thinking like, oh, way to call the kettle black if you know me. Well, it's probably because if more people were honest with themselves and honest with other people about issues that they're having, we would actually be able to move forward in certain areas of other people's lives as well. So I'm not afraid of confrontation. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I'll have it if I need to have it. But at the end of the day, I want our listeners to know, at least from my voice, that it is not easy for us to sit here and, going back to our mission statement, encourage and lead others to find purpose in their suffering, or suffer with purpose. And we strive to help others level up in life with an emphasis on our 3 pillars of spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. So with that, we're doing this for you. So if you've got earbuds in, or you've got in your car, or wherever you're listening to this, we're doing all this and sharing these vulnerable moments of our lives for you, and for everybody. And I just hope that the way that these messages are received are out of love, and that these are things that we've walked through and done before, and
or are still going through. We've said this before on the podcast, that like Nate just said that this is for you guys, and it is. But we've also said on the podcast multiple times that this is just as much for us as it is for you.
Yes.
And not in like a selfish way, but sometimes pointing out your own flaws or just holding yourself accountable is necessary and very helpful. It's also difficult though. Like Nate said, podcasting is not necessarily easy, and you're pointing out stuff that maybe you haven't always done it that way, or maybe you still struggle with doing it that way. And it's a journey. We're all on this journey together. We're all trying to learn and get better and improve together. So like, this is for you guys, but every bit of the stuff that we talk about applies to us also. We are by no means like better than anyone, or necessarily even farther along in some kind of journey. Like, we're all on the journey together. I can speak for both Nate and I. Like, we're both trying to stay on that straight and narrow path, and everything we talk about on here is to help us stay on it, and to bring more people on that path with us, and help you guys stay on there as well.
That's it.
So
it's a little disclaimer.
Yeah. Nate, you got any challenges for our listeners after this one?
Yeah. So when you go into these conversations, ask yourself these questions. Do I want them embarrassed, or do I want them better? Do I want to win an argument, or am I trying to solve a problem? Am I willing to help, or am I just here to criticize and cast blame? And would I say it the same way if I genuinely loved this person? So again, the motive, the end result, what you're seeking for here, and then ask clarifying questions. Ask them, educate yourself on what it is, because it might be that you just completely misunderstand something.
Yeah.
So educate yourself before you cast the blame. And then start the restorative process, and then speak truth into that person and be an encouragement, not a stone thrower.
Love it. I've got 2 challenges for you guys. Think of somebody in your life that, or think of a confrontation that you've been putting off, and go have the hard talk.
Yeah, that's good.
That's one. And the other challenge I've got for y'all is, next time you feel convicted to confront somebody, think about this process, and ideally, maybe you don't have a confrontation because you've thought this through and thought, that's not, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter. So my hope is that you would have a hard conversation and confront whatever needs confronting, and that you would also avoid confrontation because it's not beneficial.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys can get something great out of this, and I just hope that this helps you and your relationships with the people around you. We will put that heart framework in the show notes. That way you guys can see it. We also will probably make a post on social media or something about it. So if you're interested and don't want to continue coming back and listening, which I would recommend you do come back and listen to this 100 times. But if you don't want to, you can check out our social media or the show notes, and we'll have that information there so that you can see it and review it for future confrontation.
That's it. It's easy to call somebody out. Anybody can point at what's wrong, but calling somebody up costs way more. It requires courage to tell the truth, humility to examine your own heart, and enough love to stay involved after the conversation is over. So before you confront someone, ask yourself, am I trying to prove that they're wrong, or am I willing to help make them better?
Yeah, that's right. Call them up, don't call them out.
That's it. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Suffer Up Podcast, guys. One last little disclaimer and plug. If you would like to support the channel, what we're doing here, please go ahead and head over to our website. We've got hats, we've got shirts, stickers. Pick something up, support the channel, and it'll help us be better and support what we're doing here, because all of this is not free, if I'm being honest, but we love doing it. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We love y'all. And as always, suffer up.